All right, as they're setting up, I want to go over a quick bio. So, Robert A. Bolick is not a doctor. He did, however, pick up a pricey education at Art Center College of Design, which has helped to heal the world over, sort of. Interested passionately in the medium of design and film, he moved to LA to live his Hollywood dreams. He since had the privilege of working on for many of the most talented agencies and motion design studios on a variety of network, commercial, and film projects. Now located in sunny Portland, Oregon, he continues to deliver hungry art directors what they crave.
Okay, so I do motion graphics. I'm a specific piece in the puzzle of motion graphics, and most people don't really even know what motion graphics are, but it's anytime you see type moving. So a lot of times at the end of a commercial, anytime you watch a TV show, the title of a film, any sort of sports event where you would see scores, interstitials, like all of that stuff has to be designed, which is, you start with nothing. So I'm going to walk you through just the complete basics of motion graphics, just to give you the broad picture, because there's so many facets. So here's some of my work. That's my site if you feel like checking out any of those, but this today is really more about you guys. So here's my disclaimer. Yeah, like I know you guys are job hunting, you're ready to be out of high school, you want to like do something good and not waste your time anymore. Like just keep, like zone out and think about something else cool and be passively interested, because this is like a gnarly job that when you start, maybe you're putting in 70 hours a week, and then after a lot of years, maybe you're down to just like 50 a week, but the chance of you getting out like at a 9-to-5 job is like absolutely zero if you want to do this. So that's, all right, one warning. Yeah, I'm going to give a lot of names of software, and like I don't get paid by anyone. This is just stuff I use in my own opinions. So if I'm missing something or it's incomplete, I'm sure I'm wrong, and you can trust the internet, double check. The last thing you guys have figured out, I'll be stuttering. I sound like I'm from California because I am. And what can I do? I did not smoke today. Okay, so everyone loves movies, so I thought I would just show you guys this first. It's a company that I work for sometimes, and they have a lot of type that's really impressive. And I'm going to play the reel, even though this is not my reel. I have worked for these guys, so I think it counts. And it's way more impressive than what I do. So we'll see. There might be sound, but I'm not sure. Oh, good. All right.
Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. Keep careful watch of my brother's souls. And should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over during sun. If this is to end in fire, then we shall all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out, Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn over and on the mountainside. Now I see fire inside the mountain. I see fire
Okay, yeah, it was good stuff. So lots of reoccurring themes, like these are all logos that I got from them. This is just some of the work, like in more of a thumbnail overview, but lots of time goes into these. People get a while to work on them. And then there's more like the commercial style too, which is kind of where a lot of this design is going, and it's I don't know. These are some of my favorites. Like these are off Behance too. I don't know if any of you guys like going on there and looking at this stuff, but so like why this is interesting for me at least, and why I'll put up with the 70 hours is because it's really like fun and cool. Like none of this stuff has been made before. It's like a new art form, and I came from drawing and painting, and I always wanted to see what was next, and this is certainly like new, fresh ground. So if any of you guys like making fresh tracks, this is a way in technology where we could use it. Artists need cool tools. So here's, I'm just gonna go over these quickly, but here's an overview of kind of like the process that goes into almost every 3D project. First we start with gray modeling, animation, lots of keyframes, lighting, which is, you know, a room, light sources, texturing, do whatever you want, and then finally rendering, which is kind of like making it look real. And right now it's pretty amazing that you can even render. I mean, it's just billions of calculations that people used to have to draw. So I'll go into it a little bit more in depth, but that's basically it. It's just, we got like some clay models. You always want to start to where you can imagine what the final project will look like without, actually, where's my water? Hey Katie, would you hook me up with water, please? Anyway, all right. So this is just like, this is cool for anyone who likes Minecraft or Legos, because you get a whole world of making whatever you want. And a lot of time I see like Minecraft art alongside low poly art and 3D art. Thank you. Katie's the best. I think we all know that. So that has some interest. Animation is kind of handling keyframes, so people that like, you know, old school animating that we're sort of used to is frame by frame. Now it's all done with keyframes, and you sort of set these points like you see, and you have a timeline, and you get to massage those curves, and that gives you finesse. And everyone's grandma can tell when something looks clunky. So it's really a feat to make sure everything looks perfect, and you really have to be right on. Animators, sorry, I should have said this, mentioned this, but each of these disciplines that I'm showing you, they're specialists that just do just those. And this is for anywhere like film, entertainment. A lot of this stuff hasn't reached Portland yet. I've been waiting 7 years. I've been here, and it's just kind of creeping here. It's just like a lot of it's here, but just it's maybe 10% like what LA is, if no, not even that really. But so you can be an animator. You can get a job in animation if you like keyframes. Lighting, this is a job too. It's kind of like taking your basic model and just like the shadows tell the story, the lights tell the story, and it's really one of my favorite parts of the process. Texturing, you can get whatever you want. It's like there's refraction indexes on glass, there's metal, you have to think of how reflective it is with the lights. It's a balancing act. There's texturing artists, especially for video games. There's lots of texturing artists in video games and films that just do only that. And then rendering's kind of like putting everything together at the end, making it sparkle. Sometimes you have to have many renders composited and stacked to get your final image or your final animation. Okay, so I'll show you my hero currently is Beeple. He's this guy. He lived Appleton, Wisconsin, some tiny town. He had all this time on his hands, and like the internet made him. Well, sorry, no, the internet let him have a platform for his own awesomeness, which he makes one of these images like you're seeing every day. I think he's on almost 3,000 days. It's been like 7 years, where he spent a couple hours in this program going through this whole setup I just showed you. So I'm gonna show you this video, and it really, like, most of the people in the industry are not as fast as this guy anywhere close, and we all look at this guy and we're like, oh crap, he does this like 5 times faster than us. We have to get that faster. We're all not gonna have a job. So that's kind of like why you always have to learn the whole time, and that's where those extra like 20 hours a week comes from, because you have to stay on the front of the wave. You can't just get scooped up, or else people will do like 10 times as much work for you for the same price, and then no one will hire you. They'll just get him. I'll just talk over since the music's so quiet, but this is all the basics. You have to lay out your blueprints and your structures, getting out your outlines in Illustrator, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. He's just fast. He makes lots of massive things just quick. Knows where they're going. Like, he's, to me, a chainsaw juggler. Like, he is making it look easy. He's also studied technology properly, and he's about to show off the coolest thing, which is this thing in the bottom. Utilizes GPU rendering, which is about 10 times faster than CPU rendering in all accounts. I don't have it yet. I wish I did. It's about $3,000 to get a rig that works it. But he can work at real time. He can see his shadows. He's doing his shadows, his materials. He's only using a few materials right now. Then he's, texturing. He can being able to see this all in real time like he's doing. Usually you can't do that. You have to look at square by square, wait for it to render, see it again. Like, it's unfair. I feel like I'm like trying to plow a field with a hoe, and he's got like a tractor here, but I'm trying to catch up. I'll get there. Hopefully after taxes. So yeah, it's just like people, everyone that I work with is just like, no way, this video like changed everyone to like have to go faster now. Thanks, people. Yeah, please go to his site. It's awesome. Okay, so I'll just run through these really quick because this is kind of boring unless you really like the technical part of what I'm talking about. These are the regular tools. There's Photoshop, which is, well, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Nuke are compositors. Cinema and Maya are 3D programs. V-Ray and Octane are renderers that go in those 3D programs. Xparticles and Houdini are mostly to create particles and fluids, and ZBrush is an amazing sculpting tool, which is my favorite thing to show you guys. I think it'll be the coolest thing that I show you other than what people did. So first off, like Illustrator, you saw what he was doing. He lays out his points and his paths. It's kind of like your crisp lines. You need those around your type. Photoshop goes hand in hand. It's like painting on the computer. After Effects is a compositing program, as is Nuke. I'm showing these together because they're both super necessary that you have one or the other. They're your kind of like master orchestration suite. Is that even a word? So After Effects is the one that's widely used, and it's been the #1 forever. It's made by Adobe. And Nuke is kind of like more high-end. Like if you're working on films, people prefer it because they have a little finer tools, finer control in the tools, and also like Nuke has this node-based system where you can start connecting up your nodes that way, and when you have hundreds and hundreds of layers, sometimes that's easier and more intuitive. After Effects just has this timeline, which you can also have hundreds of layers, and it's what most people use. But you need one of these to start compiling everything. Cinema 4D and Maya, these are some of the biggest two. Maya is made by Autodesk, which is actually local here. Maya is like the granddad. I used it for 5 years and gave it up for Cinema 4D, which is what I use now. Maya has more capabilities, and it's a little more high-end for VFX and film. Cinema is more for like quick motion graphics and doing things really fast. That's more of like production, like if you don't have a huge team. It's also way more intuitive. Maya has a ton of bugs, just really frustrating stuff. The interface is super unintuitive. Cinema, you can actually like figure out if something's not right and maybe solve it yourself. And I don't work with anyone else, so when I need to figure things out, I have to go to the internet. And with Maya, that could be like a chore to actually be like, oh, I forgot. There's that one bug that I never figured out. And then it ruined my project at the end. That happened a few times. So I'm more of a Cinema fan. I switched and never went back, but you might want to talk to Maya since they're in town. Now, after you buy one of those 3D programs, like you won't get very good renders. You need either V-Ray or Octane as a renderer to actually like make everything look really slick. Which kind of sucks because you'd think like just the 3D program could do a really good job, but over here is kind of like, I mean, it's a little hard to see from this, but it's kind of flat lighting, and it looks a lot better when you have V-Ray. The lights are more realistic, the calculations are better. So you can use that as your render suite, or you can use Octane, which V-Ray is like the old one. It's like regular processing, and Octane is like what Beeple was using. It's GPU rendering, which is just the future. By all accounts, everyone that I talk to that's freelance is just like, put down your processor and get to GPU. These are similar too. XParticles is like a plugin I can get to make some dusty stuff that looks a lot like clouds. It's like cheap. Houdini is super expensive, but you can make like real clouds in real water. Houdini's like $5,000. XParticles is like $300, so it's a big difference. But Houdini is one of those jobs that I always see a position open for. It's really progressing. People are demanding it because it's really as quick and as cheap as you actually can make really good effects like that, and the day rates are like over 700 a day. So you can, like, if you're really good at it, you can make a lot of money. It's as well as like a Maya character animator, but those are the most high-priced job roles. You don't get vacation pay, by the way, with any of those day rates, so it sounds better than it is. Take it and like think of about half of that. That's what like a salary would look like. ZBrush, so this is the one I was excited to show you guys about, because this is like a dream I always had, and then it finally came true. It was like a flying car. Like I'm like, oh, finally I don't have to like pull little points to model. You actually sculpt in this program. This is used by a ton of concept artists. It's used in video games. It's used by everyone. There's a few ones that are similar, but ZBrush is definitely it. But it's a really hard to use program, which I'll get into in a minute. I'll just kind of play this while I talk trash about ZBrush's interface and praise its abilities. So you just start with like, it's kind of like real clay almost. I mean, you have a number of polys that you're not seeing here, but you have these sculpting tools where you can just knock forms out, and people are giving tutorials online. This tutorial is called the Maasai Elder, if you want to look it up. This guy who did this, what's cool is like he's in Zimbabwe and he's just like rocking these tutorials. He knows what he's doing. He's like knows everything about what he's doing. It's really like a global market now, which is why it's so tough, and you have to be so much better than before. You're competing with like everyone. If everyone can do the same skills in the same amount of time, you're on a global market all of a sudden. So, or on a, yeah, it's can be a little daunting, but at the same time, it's all there to learn, which I get to. Okay, so I guess I'll let this play a little bit while I talk about this a little bit more. So like this is one of the newest things, but like for some reason these guys who made this program like just did not want to listen to any like UI experts or like the feel of it is so rough, things are unintuitive, like you can sabotage what you're doing by clicking the wrong buttons. Like they just really like didn't think about this. So to me, like this is one of the things that I hope maybe some of you guys that are more technically inclined can like team up with artists that do this sort of thing and figure out how to make one of these that is a little more friendly and accessible to people. Because if you get this program, like first off, it's super expensive, but if like somehow you find a way to find a demo or something, like it could take you days to actually learn this stuff, even with tutorials, because it's like it's that tough. So we really like this tool is there and it's amazing, but it's not, it's got so much further to go, and people like me would be so appreciative of it, and this stuff's so high priced that there's just definitely like an appreciation for it. It wouldn't be wasted. Like people would love it if there was a better one of these. Okay, well, I'll just let this play because it's kind of interesting. My last slide after this is just a few links of inspiration and education, which kind of like what I was talking about. This guy, he's in Zimbabwe. Like there's a big division of like, should you go to art school or not? Or a big debate. And a lot of people say no, and a lot of people do just fine without it. Like Beeple didn't go to art school, and he's killing it, like just selling his artwork and doing projects. It's like almost like free to learn. The only time I think you would actually need to go to a college is if you need some interaction. So if you're learning the basics of design or composition and you need that back and forth, you're going to learn a lot faster going to school. So it'll end up being less time and less money. If you only are just trying to learn some technical skill and it's not, it's like, how do I do this? And it's not about the art, then you really can learn it, and this stuff is cheap. Everyone puts up their work now in tutorials. If they sell it, maybe it's $5. Like I could get a whole college degree worth of classes for like $300. So like I could look at these classes for 3 years, the next 3 years solid. So you might not need to spend money on education. I had $100,000 for mine, and that's like cheap these days, like you guys, I'm sure you all know. Yeah, like if you went to Art Center now, it's like $250 to get out of there. So I mean, that's like being prepared to pay like, I don't know, maybe $1,200 a month for the next 10 years just to pay back your school loan, which like you can't write them off. You guys, or you can, you have to pay them. Okay, so I'll switch over to that slide. Where did it go? The desktop changed. There we go. All right. Okay, so these, I'll just talk about these really quick and then we can go back to questions. So Grayscale Gorilla is like the biggest sort of like motion graphics hub for learning, and he sort of turned the whole thing around with this learning. I highly recommend if you want to learn Cinema 4D. That's where I'd start. Cinema 4D has a student edition you guys can get if you want to crack into this. I feel like it's one of those few things that if you have a lot of time and you're bored in high school, you can actually like further, if this is something you're interested in, you can put your wasted time now into learning this stuff, and it will directly benefit you for your next steps. Cineversity, digital tutors, those both cost money. Gumroad tutorials are like the best in the business at concept art if you want to do video games, concept painting, anything like that. Same with Control Paint. Go there, just spend your like $15 and just they'll teach you how to be a master at painting. It's pretty amazing. I'm sort of jealous, but I do them all the time too. I love getting really boring jobs and like doing them really fast and then doing nothing but tutorials with the rest of my time. And as far as inspiration, like this is really big, and it took me a long time to understand how important it is if you want to succeed in this, but you have to like be able to compare yourself and see where, you know, what's happening, some of the newest things. Behance is really like the biggest one I've seen that has just like high-end commercial art. It's probably the best repository. Beeple Every Days for sure. Gmonk, he is awesome. He did all the Tron stuff. He likes to do something that I hope you guys, like one or two, you guys will get interested in too. And I'm trying to do something along these lines too, which is reinvent some of these programs based on more like Phi and other algorithms that are more natural than what they have going on right now in MoGraph. So like basically a better creation tool to make like more aesthetically pleasing shapes and animations fast. The Collective podcast, if you guys are artists, more on the art tip, that's like super inspirational. The guy is like he's like my hero. He's just really positive and he brings on the best talent, like the best talent in the industry, and they have a pretty good kind of silly, stupid talk about lifestyles and workflows. So you can actually figure out how to like make your life better, and that's how you actually get more done, is by being more efficient. And then Matt Pike is more, he's like one of the most like known designers for Designers Republic, which was a while ago, but he actually has taken technology into the fine art realm. He shows everywhere. He does these motion installation pieces. He came from design, and now he's just like making all these crazy interactive, beautiful art pieces that are shown all over the world, and that guy probably has a jet by now. So that's it. I'll just say thanks, but I'll leave the slide up if you want to write stuff down. I also have this whole presentation. If you remembered you saw something you were kind of but couldn't put your finger on, you don't have to. Hopefully you don't have to look through the whole video, and you can bug Katie for a PDF. But that's it. So anybody have some questions? All right. Next class.
We have one back there.
Before we go, I actually have a question, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
So given the extraordinary price of a lot of these programs, is piracy as prevalent in this industry as it is in others where 3D modeling is prevalent?
Oh man, that was so hard to hear. Would you repeat it one more time?
Sorry. Given the price of a lot of these programs, is piracy as prevalent in your industry as it is in others that use 3D modeling?
Yeah, it's crazy. Small companies won't have any licensed software at all. Like I've seen it again and again. I might have had to try that once shortly, or not. learn it and then pay for it. Like, I pay for my stuff now, and just like be a pro, and then it's cool to pay for it.